You know what time it is. Here's the thing. That's Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. Let's talk some Phillies. Giddy up.
Oh my God!
I'm embarrassed!
You're flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
Welcome in, everybody. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. We are brought to you by Phillies Sports Strips. And hey, Birds fans and Phillies fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. Phillies Sports Strips has released their Eagles schedule. Their Phillies schedule is already out. A ton of great trips you can hop on board with the Phillies schedule as well. So make sure you go check out my friends at phillysportstrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch an Eagles game in a great city, hang out with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas and the likes. Philly Sports Trips books at the best hotels and has the best Eagles available. You'll have a great time. Book now and tell them A2D sent you. We got a big rundown for today like we always do. At the end of the show, we'll have our rapid fire questions. So 7 of them that we got right in the chamber, ready to go for Mitch. We have Alvarado and Alec Boehm have returned from injuries. And Derek Hall, Christian Pache should probably be returning soon. We'll get into those conversations. We'll get into how Alvarado looked. We'll get into how Alec Boehm looked in their first outings back with the big squad. Huge week for the Phillies, though. 5-1 week. Gigantic. We talked about it last week, how important this week was leading up to it. We'll get into all that. And the Phillies win their 3rd series in a row. Are they back? Ties into our poll question. And our poll question for this afternoon show. Not sure why it's not coming up on the board.
There it is, right there.
Yep, in the wrong part of the board. But the Philadelphia Phillies are back. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation today. Mitch, lead us all. The Philadelphia Phillies are back. Agree or disagree?
I would have a tendency to agree, simply because of the reaction of the dugout when things are happening. The 2 walk-off home runs, that is something that can propel a team. We talked last week, can they win 15 out of 20? Yes, they can win 15 out of 20. If they keep putting the ball on or the bat on the ball like they're doing now and getting the pitching they've been getting, with the exception of the middle game of the Dodgers series, they've been pitching very well. I have no idea why they took Taijuan Walker out of that game yesterday. He was sailing along, and what I've noticed about him, he has simplified his mechanics. He's basically just throwing from a stretch, which I love. And he's able to repeat those mechanics, which makes his fastball location better, his velocity better, and his split filthy. When you see him make Mookie Betts leading off a game look as bad as he made him look with a ball that bounced in front of home plate on a 3-2 pitch, you know that split is filthy. I didn't agree with them taking him out of the game because all that does is excite the other dugout. What happens? They bring in the left-hander throwing 100, and Freddie Freeman promptly deposits it in the left field bleachers. So, yes, I think the Phillies are back. I think this series in Arizona will be a defining series. If they go out there and they take 2 out of 3 from Arizona, then yes, this team is back.
Yeah, and a 4-gamer, which makes it a little. Yeah, we got
4.
4, even more fun in a House of Horrors. We got to go there for 4. So I'm right with you. I think they just got to split it, right? If they go there and they play good baseball and they split it, I would feel comfortable because after that they obviously go to Oakland, which is a place where you better sweep.
You bet you have to win.
Yeah.
And Atlanta went out there and lost that series to Oakland. We've had the ability here in Philly now. They've picked up a couple of games in the standings. They've moved back up to where they should be, closer to 500, are they at 500 now?
One under.
Yep. once this team gets over 500 with the personalities on this team, I think they're going to be fine. This Diamondback series is going to be very telling. Can you take what you did here at home and all the excitement in that dugout on the road to the West Coast and replicate it? If you can do that, then yes, the Phillies are back.
Yeah, I agree. And to our poll question for everybody just joining us, the Philadelphia Phillies are back. Do you agree or disagree? You can still let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. I see a lot of people in the chat already. A lot of agrees circulating. And I agree as well, right? I mean, it's hard not to. This is the baseball team we expected. They're doing a lot of the little things right over the last week. And since June started, right? And the bats have come alive. And most importantly, the pitching's come alive, right? And I think that's a difference maker for these last 6 games is the pitching has been really, really good. And
Ranger threw the hell out of the baseball the other night.
They did.
So I think he's back. And you look at Wheeler. Wheeler, if he can just keep his front side closed, he's back in that Cy Young hunt like he was a couple years ago. And I'm going to put the blame for Nola's outing on the pitch count. This is why I disagree with the pitch count wholeheartedly. Nola went out there his previous start, had a no-hitter through 7 innings or whatever it was, threw the ball downhill. His velocity was up to 95. Everything was great. Comes back this start. First couple of innings, he's throwing the ball downhill. His velocity is still at 94, 95. But the human body doesn't react the same every day. So what do? They run him out there. After the 4th inning, Nola was done, physically done. You could see it. The first thing that happens when a pitcher is fatigued, they start trying to use their legs more. And what that does is force them down the mound. Now they get under the ball. It flattens out. That's not his fault. You cannot put a number of pitches on a guy before the game starts. You have to watch the game develop and watch what he's doing. And they just don't do that. And I don't understand it. You're paying this guy $16 million a year to go out there and be your number 1 or number 2 starter. And you can't recognize as a manager or a pitching coach when he is fatigued, and now you're risking injury. Okay, say he fatigues after 50 pitches, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to let him throw 50 more with bad mechanics and risk injuring him? That makes 0 sense business-wise. Anyway, that makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And you wonder what they see, or if they're even watching, right? If they're like, oh well, we got to get him. We got to get him through 6, or we got to get him into the 6, because if not, right, then we're going to tax our bullpen, blah 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 blah. Instead of thinking like, well, I don't want to tax my number 2 pitcher either, right? Exactly. I want that guy as fresh as possible as this season continues, because what we've talked about in some of Aaron Nola's September struggles of the past were mainly fatigue struggles. Mainly just didn't have it in September. This past year, a little bit better. Felt like he was a little bit stronger in September. Not perfect, but better, right?
Right.
But in years past, and we've gone as Aaron's gone, obviously, because in the Septembers where he was downright atrocious, guess where we ended up? Not in the postseason, right? And in the month where last September, where he was a little bit fresher, he was pitching well in September, guess where we ended up? And I mean, help, we had Zack Wheeler too, but guess where we ended up? We ended up in the postseason. So he's important, not just in June, but he sure is that going to be important in August and September.
And there's no telling what letting him throw those extra pitches with bad mechanics, how that's going to affect his next start. I hope it gets back to the point where, okay, he feels good, he can get on top of the baseball, and it's so blatant with Aaron. When he's on top of the baseball, his breaking ball is a 12-6 breaking ball. it's filthy. When he's under the ball, he casts it and lets it go back here, and all it does is roll. It becomes a very hittable pitch. His fastball goes from having a little bit of ride on it and being able to locate it to completely flat. And that's up to the pitching coach to recognize that. And that's why yesterday just infuriated me. I was probably more mad than Taijuan Walker was. Sailed through 5 innings, didn't give up a run. They took him out of the game. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. He was not struggling with his mechanics. He still had a dirty split. His fastball was still between 92 and 95. His sinker was sinking. And today is a bullpen game. So what should you have done? You should have got as many innings out of Walker as you could have gotten out of him yesterday. Then you don't have to bring Alvarado in. You don't have to bring Kimbrel in. These are guys you're going to need when games are close. So it just made 0 sense to me.
Yeah, because they took him out after 5. He gave up no runs. At the time, you were only up 3-0. At the time, you're only up 3-0. So, I agree. I think he was at 80. Let me get his exact number. I think he was at 86 when I looked at it yesterday, and he was 83. So even less than where I thought he may have been, which means, okay, even if the inning isn't a great inning and you get through 6, you're probably mid 90s, right? You're probably 95, creeping up to 100. I would want him, to your point, I would want him to go back out in the 6th inning there, see what you can get. Hey, you get a guy on, then maybe you go get him, right? Maybe if a guy gets on.
If you get a guy on, then you get the bullpen up.
Yeah, exactly. But you said, you got 4 out in Arizona. You got a bullpen game tonight. Then you're going to Oakland, right? You're going to the West Coast. The point is that you're taxing your bullpen tonight. So if you're all worried about taxing, the starters are supposed to be taxed. That's the point. You're pitching once every 5 days. You're supposed to be aired out, right? That's what you're supposed to do. This isn't like 14U baseball that I coach, where if a guy's at 84, I'm like, that's enough. That's enough. Makes sense? That's enough. We're talking about kids. These are pros. Like, there's no reason that the pros can't go to 100, 105 pitches. If you want to have a hard stop at 100, fine. If you feel that way, fine. But when you're pitching once every 5 days and you spend the entire offseason building up for that, you want to talk to me in April and May, Mitch, about guys going, 100? I'll agree. I don't think they should. Like, if somebody brought that argument, I think it's a buildup. It's a buildup. It should always be a buildup. So
the buildup should be in spring training. They spend 6 weeks in spring training.
Yeah.
I used to go to spring training completely in shape, ready to throw. I would throw all winter long, and then it got to the point where when I became a reliever, I went to spring training. 6 weeks was more than enough time for me to get my arm in shape to do what I have to do. Understandably, it's different for starters. But when I see a guy like Taijuan Walker, who was as pissed off as he was yesterday when they took him out of that game, there's no way I'm taking him out of that game. There's too many guys in the game today that want out of games. If they get through 5 innings and they got a 3-run lead, they're like, oh, I'm done. Turn it over to the bullpen.
I do love one thing. I do love that you want to see that competitiveness, right? You want to see that from guys that are visibly upset that they're getting taken out. They might be fine, an hour from then, right? But in that moment, they want the ball. And that's what you want. Because I'm
telling you right now, if Nolan Ryan got through 5 innings with a 3-0 lead, they couldn't get that ball away from him at gunpoint. That's the difference in today's game and the past. Kids are taught from a young age, if you throw more than this, you're going to get hurt. No, if you throw wrong, mechanically wrong, you're going to get hurt. I threw over 200 pitches in a 7-inning game in high school. I got taken out of a no-hitter in Hagerstown, Maryland in the 5th inning, losing 2-1 with 155 pitches. If you're still delivering the ball mechanically correct, there's no reason to remove them from the game. None whatsoever.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I don't know what these guys think anymore. You know, I could bang my head against the wall trying to figure out what new day analytics, thought processes, pitch counts.
Well,
all
analytics
that
came
really
into play
matter.
yesterday because they said the third time through the order that their batting average was over 300 against Walker. Well, so what?
Who's batting average? Just teams he's faced?
Opponent's batting average.
Yeah.
Third time through the order. Well, yesterday the Dodgers weren't whacking him around the ballpark.
No,
So
it's
they were
different
struggling.
times. Yeah.
There's a comment right here. Pitching coaching is crucial and critical in baseball. You should know how long to leave a pitcher in and when to take them out. That is Greg Miller. That is a spot on comment. There are too many pitching coaches that don't know the mechanics of throwing a baseball and when to recognize when fatigue is set in and when the guy is still mechanically sound. They are going by sabermetrics, analytics, all this other garbage. They ain't going by what's in front of them, what's happening on the field. They're going by what happened in the past. Well, what happened in the past in baseball doesn't mean a thing. Baseball is a what have you done for me lately game.
Yeah, spot on. That's exactly what I was getting at, Mitch. And we're eye to eye again. Like that's great. They got a 300 average against them. Previously, other teams. That's not the Dodgers. That's not in this moment. Everything's different. It's a game-to-game,
Yes.
day-to-day situation. Like you said earlier, like the human body is different day to day. There might be a day like where Nola was last week, where we'll just use Nola as an example, where he felt like he was locked in. And the next start you come out, and whatever reason, you're not the same guy. Walker's had some starts where he's been meh. Right. Well, yesterday, he was locked in. So when a guy's locked in, you
leave him alone.
Ride the horse.
Exactly.
Ride the horse. Like, I'm not going to put that horse down. If my horse is running and he's running well, why am I going to put a bang bang in him? I mean, I'm going to let him run.
If it's a mile and an eighth race and sabermetrically it says this horse breaks down at a mile, what are you going to just, if he's leading the race at a mile, are you going to just shut him down? No, you don't. Especially when a pitcher is going good, you let him ride that wave. All that is confidence. Every out he gets is just a confidence boost. And these guys, they put so much into analytics that it's hurting the game. It's retarding pitchers' growth, and I can't stand that. I want to see a pitcher that wants the baseball, doesn't care how many pitches he's thrown. If he's throwing the ball well, leave him the hell alone, because that's only going to affect his next start in a positive way.
Absolutely. You're not going to, like you said, we're not going to shut a horse down a mile into the race and say, well, this is when you usually fatigue. Get him out of there. Like, no, you're gonna let it ride. You're gonna let it ride, especially when it's cruising. And that's what I hate about today's game to a point, is at the big league level, right? I mean, college guys, we'll get this is a story for another day. We're gonna have this conversation, but there's college guys getting aired out to the point of it that it's egregious, right? Like there's college guys throwing 145 pitches in a game. That's overkill to me. I don't care about anything like that. That's too much. There's a line here. Like if it's 105, 110, there's a point where you do have to say, that's enough. That's
only
enough.
Point that you have to be able, Tom, to recognize that point from a physical standpoint mechanically. If the guy's out on the mound and he's thrown 145 pitches and mechanically he is still sound, there is no reason to take him out of that game. But if a guy goes out there and he's thrown 45 pitches and mechanically he's unsound, what do? You let him throw 55 more pitches with bad mechanics and risk getting injured?
Yeah.
No, you don't do that. You have to be able to, as a pitching coach, to look at the manager and say, he's done, or leave him alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come right back and we're going to talk about Jose Alvarado returned, Alec Bohm returned, 2 gigantic additions back for the Philadelphia Phillies as they continue to try to make this run that they're making right now in June to get up over 500 and to continue to play great baseball. 2 names that are important to that. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about Derek Hall, Christian Pache should be returning soon. Where does Derek Hall stand in this conversation? I had my answer. I know Mitch has his. And we also have rapid fire questions that I will give Mitch. And we want your guys' questions and comments as well. So you know how this goes here. We're all about you guys. So comment in, let us know. Quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone. If you're just joining us and you're a little late to the party, we started off the show, and our poll question for today's show was the Philadelphia Phillies are back, baby. Do you agree or disagree? Seems like not only we've already answered us, but we both agree. And we talked about this little West Coast trip. It's going to tell us a lot. Not really the Oakland one, but we'll start with the Arizona
one.
Will
Tell us a bunch too, Tom.
Yeah. I just wanted to start with Arizona, right? Like Arizona's going to tell us if it's not a house of horrors anymore. Are we really playing good baseball? Because that team is playing tremendous baseball right now in Arizona. And to your point, what Oakland will tell us is if we are overlooking somebody, if we're not ready to play, because that's a no question sweep. The reason the Braves had a little trouble out there was the Braves came right from a Sunday night game against us, and they had to fly right out there and play. And if you're a bet man, you take Oakland that first night, which some of us did, because you feel like, okay, that's a tough turnaround. That's an 8 o'clock primetime game, and now you're going out west and playing the next night. Sometimes it's a little letdownish when you're facing a division rival. We saw it. Now, should have never lost 2 out of 3 to Braves. There's no excuse to that. But at least we're out on the West Coast for a minute before we go to Oakland, and now there's no excuse not to sweep the Oakland A's when we get there.
I wouldn't be satisfied splitting in Arizona. The way this lineup is starting to gel, the way Castellanos is swinging the bat, Bryce looks good at the plate, Schwarber's getting his walks, hitting a walk-off homer, and then you look at Turner. It only took till June, but he has finally made the adjustment and becoming the ball player he's always been. It just cannot take 2.5 months to make an adjustment. But I think he's back. Him back in the 2-hole, Castellanos back, or moving Bryce to the 4-hole, or switching them back and forth depending on right-hander, left-hander starting. This lineup is starting to come together. And getting Alec Bohm back, I felt bad for him yesterday. I mean, the guy pitchers could have thrown him the rosin bag. He'd have swung at it. He was just that excited to be back in the lineup. He'll start recognizing spin, all that. That will come. He's been one of their best RBI guys before he got hurt. So I'm glad he's back. Now you can move Sosa to third when there's a left-hander pitching, and Clemens. I'm sorry, Cody Clemens is playing the hell out of first base. He's made some defensive plays that I know Rhys Hoskins and Hall ain't making. So that's going to be a big question when Hall gets healthy.
Absolutely. And then Alvarado coming back, he had inflammation in his pitching elbow. He comes back, and then Alec Boehm came back from a hammy. But both guys back. Alvarado threw the other day. Not too sharp. Expected, Mitch? Are you worried about that at all, or do you just feel like that's knocking the rust off?
It's called knocking the rust off. I mean, you can go do all the minor league assignment throwing you want. It ain't the same because he's not pitching with adrenaline in a AAA game. He got brought into a big league game yesterday, and you could see that everything was sped up. His leg kick, everything was sped up. He was down the mound. He wasn't getting his hands apart. When you see a guy spike a fastball, it tells you he's drifting down the mound and not getting his hands apart, broke soon enough. Because when you break late, you speed everything up and you spike your fastball or your cutter. He was just feeling his way through that yesterday and adjusting back to the adrenaline that you have at the big league level. He'll get it. What did he have? I think he had one walk going back to September last year prior to him getting hurt.
Yeah, it was
something ridiculous.
It was living in the zone 101 for all the pitchers out there.
Exactly.
Right?
So, I mean, Alvarado will get back to comfortable and get back to dealing with adrenaline at the big league level.
Yeah, I agree too. 6-game hitting streak for Cody Clemens. I seen where you hide and isn't asked if Cody was on a 5-game hitting streak. He's actually on a 6-game hitting streak. As Cody Clemens swinging the bat extremely well. I really like Cody Clemens. I do. And we talk about timely hits too, right? Game winning hit the other day as well. So those things matter. Game hitting on Thursday, he had the game winning hit against Detroit.
Yeah, so, I mean, the walk off with his dad in the stands, that's something that propels a guy. And I'm sorry, I'm not. If you want to keep platooning at first and third, because Alec Boehm has played first base really well too. He's played third base really well. But if they're going to keep a platoon, depending on a right-hander and a left-hander pitching, Cody Clemens is playing first base for me every single time there's a right-hander on the mound.
I agree. I'm not I talked about this before the season, right? And tons of our spring training shows leading up to it. And it was after Rhys got hurt, right? After Rhys got hurt. And all I heard was, oh, Derek Hall. And I'm not taking a shot at Derek Hall. Derek Hall might lose you 20, 25 baseballs, all right, if he played a full 162. But I don't believe he's a complete hitter. He's not that good defensively. He's not going to replace Rhys Hoskins. He actually strikes out way too much for my liking too. Where Cody's more of a contact guy. He's a better defender. You have enough pop in this lineup. You just can't have a traffic cone at first base, right? At this point, you just can't have a guy that's an automatic out, that's a walking out, all right, at first base, and you can't have a guy that's not good defensively. You need a good defensive first baseman and a guy that can hit for enough average. And Cody is proving that. I don't need a guy
timely hitting.
Yeah, I don't need a guy hitting 30 homers at first when you look at the rest of my lineup. The rest of my lineup can lose baseballs. He doesn't have to be the guy to do that.
If you're looking for him to hit 30 home runs, look for him to give up 30 defensively, because he is nowhere near defensively as good as Cody Clemens is. There's a question on here asking about Roger in the booth last week, gave some insight on Zack Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what he said?
I do. Do you?
Yeah. What did he say? He said, look at him keeping his front side closed. That was the first thing out of Rocket's mouth. When he keeps his front side closed, it's what we've been talking about on here for over a month. When he stays closed with his front side, he is a Cy Young candidate. When he doesn't, he becomes very common.
He does, and we're not paying for common, right?
No. He's getting paid a lot of money to go out there. In my mind, he's the ace of this staff. As he goes, so goes this staff. They claim they're hyper competitive with each other. I can see that. But Nola's start, like I said, that was not his fault. His body betrayed him that day, and it was up to the pitching coach and manager to get him out of that game before it got to the point that it was. And I think the point it was is Rocket's kid ended up finishing that game, did he not?
Yeah.
Didn't Cody pitch in that?
Yeah.
That's humiliating when you have 9 relievers. I don't understand that. I saw in my first 3 years in the American League, we had 5 starters and 5 relievers. I think I saw a position player throw 1 time. And that's with only 5 relievers. You can't tell me one of those 9 relievers couldn't use an inning of work. Everyone at some point needs to get an inning of work. Why did Craig Kimbrell throw yesterday? It wasn't a save situation. Craig Kimbrell needed the work. It's that simple. When you have a closer that's going good, all I had to do was call the dugout and say, for Ghost, I need an inning tonight, or go to him before the game. I don't care what the score is. If we're winning, if we're losing, I need to get an inning tonight.
Mhm.
And that's how you handle your closer. So that's why Kimbrell was in there to finish that game with a 4-run lead yesterday.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth of it. So Wheeler's been like a little, he's been a little hot and cold over his last 5. A little over a 4-run average. He pitched great against Detroit the other night. Got shelled in Washington.
In Washington, that was just blatant not keeping his front side closed. And that's just something. If I was him in his stretch, and we've talked about this, I would start with my hands up here and my front side closed. If I can do that and pick my leg up in at the same angle my shoulders are, now I'm golden. Absolutely golden, because that is something you can repeat. You can look at it on film and go, okay, my shoulders are closed. My kick leg is coming up exactly at the same angle as my shoulders. That's something you can make an in-game adjustment on. Because if you notice, there's times when he sets square and now he blows open. Okay, all he's got to say to himself, get myself closed, pick my kick leg up, and fall. It's that simple to make that adjustment. Not saying that I ever did it that often, because, obviously I led the world in walks, but I tinkered with my mechanics all the time. You have to. Once you find something you're comfortable with, you have to just fly with it.
Yeah, I would rather him not as worried much about a slide step, in when guys are on, than worrying about being quicker to the plate. Like I'd rather you not control the run game as well. You know what I mean? I'd rather you not control the run game to have your form better and keep your front side closed, because there's a better chance of that guy not barreling a ball up against you. So,
Well,
I'd rather you go that route than worrying so much about being quick to the plate and, like you said, blowing your whole front side open.
The 2 biggest causes of Tommy John surgery are the cutter and the slide step. It's that simple. You do not sacrifice stuff and command to hold a runner. Now that they've put this stupid new rule in where you can only throw over 3 times or twice, it makes it a little more difficult. But a slide step, no, I'm not going to sacrifice my velocity, my health to hold a runner close. I'm going to concentrate on getting the next guy out. Because if that guy can't steal second, third, and home, my stuff's good enough to strike the next 3 guys out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if the next guy's up, don't get hits. That guy isn't scoring anyway.
Exactly.
Right? So it's as simple as that. Real quick, for everybody out there, we are brought to you by Phillies Sports Trips. And hey, Birds fans and Phillies fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. Phillies Sports Trips has not only released their Eagles schedule, their Phillies schedule is still out. You can still book. They got to go to Pittsburgh still. They got to go to Petco Park out in San Diego. So a lot of good trips to be had. Make sure you go see my good friends from PhilliesSportsTrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch not only an Eagles game in a great city, but a Phillies game in a great city. Hang out with former Eagles, former Phillies like Hollis Thomas, John Dornbach, David Akers, and the likes. Phillies Sports Trips books at the best hotels and has the best Eagles available. You'll have a great time. Book now and tell them A2D sent you. PhilliesSportsTrips.com. There's my reads as I keep.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is.
I would love to go on a trip with Hollis.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Number 1, it would be hilarious. And number 2, I know I'd eat good.
Double win. Win and win. And they feed you good at PhilliesSportsTrips.com too. They got a great spreads, great rollouts for people. It's not just, hey, we book you at a hotel, right? And you go to a game, right? It's the stuff that leads up to it, in between the stuff that you're not expecting. They do a great job with too. So
imagine the
cool.
magic that you would see from Boss. That alone would be worth the trip.
That would be really cool too. That'd be really cool. Greg says, I agree to the poll. Pitching has been much better recently, and that's the key to their success. Yes, it has. Absolutely has. Chrome, who we just talked to, he disagrees with the poll. There's been no consistency with this team, and a couple of wins against a really good Dodgers team isn't enough to convince me otherwise. My disagreement to that is, they're 5-1 in their last 6. They've showed they're playing way better baseball. But while I'll give you that, while I'll say where part of me may say, well, I can't yell and scream that I disagree with you that much, Chrome, because this Arizona series is going to tell us some things.
It's absolutely. The thing I'm going on the way Rangers throwing the ball, the way Wheeler's throwing the ball, the way Nola's throwing the ball, other than the other day when his body betrayed him. But you look at Taijuan Walker. For me, Walker has simplified his delivery so much to where he can repeat it. Now you're talking about a guy that you can go out there and expect 7 innings out of every day. And the other thing I look at, the personalities that are showing up in the dugout. Last year, Castellanos, he had I'm whipped look on his face. Now this guy, to a man, if Schwarber strikes out, he's still in the dugout cheering these guys on. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Reese Hoskins is back in that clubhouse. He might not be contributing on the field, but I promise you, he's contributing in that dugout and in that clubhouse.
Absolutely matters, right? Absolutely matters. It's spot on. And the other thing you just said, which is something, I know you've dealt with younger players. I know I deal with younger players, is for them to understand the team part of the game, right?
Right.
To not be selfish, to not carry your ABs. I want guys, I don't know if you're 4 for 4 or 0 for 4, right? That's what you want, especially from your leaders, especially from a guy like Kyle Schwarber, who is one of your leaders, right? You want the same guy every day.
Every day.
Every day. And it seems like that's what Kyle Schwarber is. It's the same guy every day.
There were guys, Tom, that I knew while they were walking to the plate, I already had them beat just by the look on their face. A couple of years ago when the Phillies bullpen was so bad, It was not hard to tell. You could see the look on their face the minute they walked through that outfield door that they were beat. And that can't be. You have to walk on that field every at bat, every pitch you throw, and exude to the opponent that you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Because if they look out there and see a weakness, they are going to exploit it.
Oh, absolutely they will. Absolutely they will.
Here's a great question. I understand today is a bullpen game, but if Strom is pitching well, why can't he go 5 or 6 tonight?
Yeah.
If the pitch count is decent. Exactly. $7.5 million they're paying this kid. Find out what you have. And to this point, I don't think they have a clue what they've got. Only letting him throw 2 innings is not telling them whether or not he can be a 5th starter. Let him extend. If he goes out there and he goes 2 tonight and they're easy, let him go 3. If he gets through 3, let him go 4. Manage the game in front of you, not what is written on paper from the past.
No, you're spot on. Spot on. It's so true. Greg says it's all starting to click. Reese brings leadership and accountability. Totally agree with the poll. And I agree with Joe too. If he's pitching, if he's throwing well tonight, then why am I taking him out? Why is there
if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Yeah, there's not a set number on him, Joe, right? I totally agree. Like if he's good and he's grooving or he's just pitching well enough, why am I going to go tax a bullpen for no reason? Like I'm not going to tell you he's going to go pitch 7 tonight, but why can't he go 5? Like
you know
why
who
not?
he reminds me of, other than the hair? He's just funky enough to be like Chris Sale. He's got that kind of funky delivery across his body, which I love because it hides the baseball. It makes it harder on right-handers for them to pick it up because he throws across his body. But leave him alone if he's doing good, because all that's going to do is build his confidence. He's going to come off after 2 innings and have the manager not walk up and say, you're done. If that happens, now you start to build his confidence. I'm going back out for the 3rd. If he goes out and has success in the 3rd, I'm going back out in the 4th. That's how you find a 5th starter. You don't find a 5th starter by throwing a guy 2 innings and then jerking his ass off the field. That doesn't work.
Yeah, Joe says, I'm sure after asking that, Strom will end up giving up 4 runs in the 1st. Yep. You might be able to write that.
I don't think so. I think this kid's got just enough heart. And I love watching this kid throw because he gets mad at himself. And I like that. If he makes a bad pitch, you'll hear him curse at himself. Not cursing at the umpire, cursing at himself. He is a competitor. Let him compete.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Play-by-play with JJ. What's up, brother? He says, my question is, how long do you ride the wave of Kimbrel being the closer?
I ride the wave until somebody proves that they can do a better job. And getting Alvarado back, and I heard Topper say the other day, when Alvarado gets back and is healthy, that the closer role will be split. I don't agree with that. I think you make Alvarado your 8th inning guy, 7th and 8th inning guy, depending on where they're at in the lineup, with left-handers and right-handers. Kimbrel hasn't saved over 400 games because he can only get right-handers out. He can get everyone out. He's throwing the ball extremely well right now. There is 0 chance I'm handing the ball in the 9th inning with a 3-run or less lead to anyone other than Kimbrel.
Couldn't agree more with everything you said. Right? There's no way a guy has 400 saves if he has trouble getting lefties out. Right? There's just no way.
Closing is not just about stuff, Tom. It's about this and handling the situation in front of you. And he obviously knows how to handle that situation, or he wouldn't have 400 saves.
And I got no problem if they were like, hey, Alvarado's healthy. It's Alvarado's job. Whatever. I'm not going to argue that because Alvarado was lights out last year. Lights out. So I won't argue it. What I will argue with is the split. I got no time for the split. Just give the guy, hey, this is my 7th. This is my 8th. This is my 9th. And Soto's mixed in there, right? With Soto mixed in for situations, right? That's how it's built out. Sir Anthony in my 7th, Alvarado in my 8th, Kimbrel in my 9th, however you want to go about it. But set the role. This isn't old school talk. This is common sense talk, right? Give a guy a role. Let him know. You know,
they should know by the situation of the game.
Yep.
That you got Sir Anthony in the 7th. He's your 7th and 8th inning right-hander. Alvarado is your 7th and 8th inning left-hander. When it gets to the closer role, it's Kimbrel's game. It's that simple. When that phone rings in the 7th inning, depending on the score and the hitters coming up, they shouldn't even have to tell him who to get up.
No, he should know it.
They should already know.
Hey, 4-2 lead, 4-2 lead, 4-2 lead in the 8th.
Right? And there's a left-hander leading off. Alvarado should already be up ready.
Right? And it's like, okay. Right? You guys start getting himself stressed out because he knows it. I don't like the split in the 9th inning. I think that's bad news, right? You can split other innings like you're saying, right? You want to split the 7th, the 8th. Okay, they don't need as much roles as the 9th. The 9th is it's just a different animal. And I know we've talked about this, and we agree, but we disagree to it. Where I'm a believer, like the hardest outs are the last 3 or the last 9. In reality, every out's hard, but as the game gets deeper, the pressure mounts, right? The pressure mounts. So the game gets tighter.
The thing about it where we disagree is who the pressure's on.
Yeah.
I always knew if I came in to a game with a lead, the pressure ain't on me. The pressure's on the hitter. That's the difference. You think Kimbrel doesn't know that? You don't save 400 games unless you know when you come into the game with a lead, the pressure ain't on me. It's on that guy with the bat in his hand.
Yeah, that's why I preach to younger guys all the time. We're in that last inning. It's a tight game. Make him work, man. Make him work. Don't make his life easy. Don't go up there and first pitch swing and pop up, and now he's got 1 pitch, 1 out, and now he feels good about himself. Make him grind it out. Make him throw you. Like, I'm not telling you, like, even in the big leagues, make him go strike 1 to you, and now we're going to play. Now we'll play, right? And now I'm ready for something. But make him get strike 1 over, right? Make a guy have to work a little bit because, hey, the pressure may not be as much on him. But, hey, if I get that guy a 2-0, 3-0 count, whatever, I end up drawing a walk. As soon as somebody gets on first base, that pressure now shifts.
Exactly.
Right? Now shifts. So, the selectively aggressive part is what hitters don't understand enough. To your point, where hitters are like,
they all want to be a hero.
Yeah.
Especially in a 1-run game. In a 1-run game, if I throw strike 1, in my mind, the at-bat's over. Because I don't have to throw another strike.
I love that. I love that.
And we look, how many outs in the Mets series did the Phillies make on balls that were strikes?
Oh, that's when, I mean, you were texting me.
It was ridiculous.
When you said that to me, I've never seen more in my life. Like, after you brought it up to me and I really was like, let me watch this more, right? I'm like, this is crazy. It might even be higher than 95%.
I think the kid's name was Senga.
Yeah.
The Japanese kid that threw the forkball.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't throw 1 for a strike. I mean, he had 31 walks in 40-something innings. And we didn't walk against this guy.
Yeah.
You have to understand outs are gotten with balls. Strikes get hit and sometimes get hit hard. So if you can get ahead of a guy, try and stay out of that strike zone. It's much harder to hit a ball out of the strike zone than it is in the strike zone.
No, absolutely is. Spot on. Everybody out there, we're going to take one more quick commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to do rapid fire with Mitch. And we'll obviously answer your guys' questions as well because we love it. Ton of people tuning in, chiming in. Can't thank everybody enough. If you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you're following A2D on all platforms and turn your damn alerts on, people. We'll be right back. Quick commercial break, and we'll come back and rapid fire and wrap up today's show. So stay right with us.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
And we're back. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. We're live every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. But the great thing about it is you can watch us anytime you want on any of the major platforms, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Not only will we be live there, but the shows stay up there forever. And within the 24 hours the show goes live, we are uploaded to everywhere you get your podcast as well. So we're built for it all. We're built for the visual. We're built for the audio guy. We're built for a little bit of everything. But now is a fun part of the show because, I mean, the whole show's fun. But now we do a little bit of rapid fire with Mitch. I got 7 questions. 7 for you today. So the first one, which we talked about a little bit, but we'll get into again. Arizona has been a house of horrors for the Phillies. Can they win or split this series? What do you say?
Yes, they can win this series. They can definitely split it. But yeah, they can win this series. All they have to do is just go out there and can try and take the feeling that you have at home on the road with you as a team. How did we feel as a team the last 6 games? And just keep trying to make that feeling work on a nightly basis. The game don't change just because it changes stadiums. The game's the same. It's the attitude and the mentality that changes. Don't change your attitude and mentality. Go out there, play it 1 inning, 1 pitch at a time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. The only thing that would be upsetting to the first question is that they didn't split it and they lost 3 out of 4. That would be concerning to me. Next question. Can the Phillies avoid the Braves' fate against the A's and beat up on a bad team? Mitch, what kind of mindset is needed to beat bad teams consistently?
The same mindset that it takes to beat good teams. You have to understand you cannot just throw your glove on the field and win. I can take a high school team. If I got a better pitcher than you, I can beat a big league team. It all comes down to execution and mindset. The A's stink, but you can't approach it like that. They're a big league baseball team. If you go in there and you think, it's the A's, you're going to get your ass handed to you. So that's the things you have to avoid. You have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And if you come out of Arizona and you take 3 out of 4 in Arizona, and go to Oakland and lose 2 out of 3, that tells me you are not keeping the same mindset on a day-to-day basis.
Yep, I love what you said. You know, I say it to guys all the time. You can't just walk out there and expect somebody to roll over for you. Doesn't work like that. Sports don't work like that. There's a reason you got to play the game. Next question, and then Wayne, we will answer your question. Everybody out there that has questions, fire them in now. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Derek Hall versus Cody Clemens. We talked about it a little bit this earlier on in the show. Has Cody done enough to hold on to the part-time first base job when Hall returns? Does Hall, and then the other part of the question, does Derek Hall offer anything more than Cody Clemens?
Obviously he's probably going to offer a little more power, but I don't think he's going to offer more average, and he's absolutely going to hurt you defensively. The plays Cody Clemens is making at first base are spectacular. They're Gold Glove caliber plays. So no, I am not taking Cody Clemens out of the role he's in right now. If Hall comes back, it would be off the bench for me to see if he can pop one out of the ballpark late in the ball game. That would be his role until Cody Clemens proves that he can't do what he's doing on a regular basis. He remains my left-handed guy at first base.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a pretty good sample size of ABs to tell you if it's just if it's a lie that he's batting 270 right now, right? So, I think he's a good player. I agree with everything you said. Next question. Key bullpen pieces from last year. Connor Brogdon, Andrew Bellotti have struggled this year. Bellotti sent down earlier and Brogdon recently. Mitch, have you seen anything from those two, or specifically Brogdon, that has led them to their struggles and the reasons why they have been sent down?
Well, Brogdon, for me, we talked about it the other day. It's pitch selection and thinking like a pitcher rather than thinking like a hitter when you're out there on the mound. He set himself up the other night in that game where we clawed back to tie it 7-7, and he throws a 95 mile an hour fastball on the inner third to the leadoff hitter. It freezes him. Well, first pitch he threw him a changeup. Then he goes to the 95 mile an hour fastball. What do you think that hitter's thinking is coming next? The changeup. He knows he's going back to the changeup. And what does Connor do? He throws it, leaves it in the middle of the plate, home run, game over.
Yep.
That is why, or what Connor needs to work on when he goes down to the minor leagues. Stop thinking like a pitcher. Start thinking like a hitter.
I know this next one is gonna get you. And Eric, I see your question as well. We'll get to those two. We're almost done our questions. AAA pitching coach Cesar Ramos seems to be able to fix pitchers and get them right. Should he be the pitching coach here for the big club?
That I don't know, because I don't know Cesar Ramos any more than I know Caleb Cotham. I have no idea what they teach. If pitchers are coming back from AAA and throwing the ball better than when they got sent down to AAA, then yeah, there might be something to that. And I said last week that Caleb Cotham had 34 innings in the big leagues. And I don't care what any player says. Every player looks at the back of their coach's bubblegum card and sees what he did in his career. And if they look at the back of his bubblegum card, whatever he says is going to go in one ear and out the other. I believe that the pitchers themselves are helping each other more than Caleb Cotham's helping them.
Yeah.
That's just truly what I believe. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe.
No, it makes sense, right?
It's hard to teach someone to have success at a level you never had success at. And it takes away your credibility with your pitchers.
No, it does. It definitely does. You have to earn that, right?
Yeah.
And the only way you earn that is by you changing something, right, on a guy, or fixing something, and that guy say, "Oh man, did that work?" And then it becomes whispered down the line, right? Then other players hear about it, and if Zack Wheeler is saying like, "Hey, he's done wonders for me," then guess what other guys start to say? Well, I'm going to listen to what he has to say, right? It's sort of one of those deals. So I agree with you. Mitch, have you seen enough or even know enough about Mick Abel or Griff McGarry to make a decision as to who would be the first one up if and when the Phillies make a move?
I'll be honest. I have not seen anything of either of those guys. So I don't.
You're not missing nothing.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you this guy's great, this guy sucks, because I don't make a decision on a guy until I can visually see him on a mound, what his mechanics look like. Is he going to stay healthy? That's when I make my decision. I haven't seen either one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I have, right? And I'm not going to say I'm a pitching expert by any stretch, but Abel's stuff's way better. So that's just the eye test, right? That's the going. Nothing more than the eye test. It's just more movement. It's everything has a little bit more life to it. Not saying McGarry can't be good. I think Abel has more upside. But I mean, pitching prospects are really weird. It's just a really weird thing to tell. Obviously Andrew Painter has the best stuff out of all of them if we're really having that conversation.
And that's all going to come down to the 6 inches between their ears. You can have the best stuff in the world. If you don't have the mentality to take it out there on the field with you and make it work, then stuff doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Trade deadline. I know we do this every week, but we'll do it again. What do you think the Phillies what move should they make? Would it be that fifth starter, reliever, or are you looking for like a bench piece?
They got 9 relievers. How many more relievers do we need?
Yeah.
We got 9 relievers. We got really good arms out there. No, I'm not looking for another reliever. If you're not going to at least experiment with Strom and give him the opportunity to make a couple of realistic starts, trade him. He's a left-hander that throws 97 miles an hour. Believe me, you can get something back for him.
Absolutely.
And send this kid on his way and let him go have a career, because what you're doing to him here, to me, is just unfair.
I agree. And hopefully tonight they give him that leash that we're talking about, right? Hopefully tonight they start that stretch out process, because now they gotta make sure, like, hey, we got a fifth starter here. And we gotta start stretching him out to be a fifth starter. Right. Okay. 2 more questions just from the family, and then we'll get out of here. From Wayne, which hitter did you really hate to see to come to the plate back when you were playing?
Well, it wasn't with the Phillies. It was a guy that played for the Brewers, a guy named Billy Joe Robideau. And this guy, if he couldn't hit me, he wouldn't have never played in the big leagues. I faced him for the first time in Reno, Nevada one night. I started the game. First at bat, he hit a grand slam off me. Second at bat, he hit a 3-run homer off me. I'm still in the game to face him a third time. He hits a high chopper to our first baseman, who jumped, caught the ball, and ran into right field with it because he didn't know he had it in his glove. So he's 3 for 3 with 7 RBIs off me. I come to the big leagues, and there's a right-hander on deck, or a right-hander at the plate, and the Brewers bring Robideau out on deck. And Bobby Valentine said, "Get Mitch ready for Robideau." I'm like, oh my God. First pitch, 3-run homer.
Yeah, not Robideau.
It was ball night at Arlington Stadium, and all the fans gave their balls back at the same time. The outfielders were running for their lives, trying not to get hit. My first interview after the game was, "What did you think about all the balls being thrown back on the field?" I said, "I'm glad it wasn't bow and arrow night." But I couldn't get the guy out. I have no idea. We were in Milwaukee one night with a right-hander on deck. Rob Deere's hitting. I'm in a save situation. There's a right-hander on deck. I go 2-0 on Rob Deere, and I look over in the on-deck circle, and Robideau is on deck. I'm like, oh, my God. Came back, struck out Rob Deere, thank God, got the save, and got the heck out of there. I did not want to face that dude again.
That's classic. This is funny how certain guys, right? It's amazing. Eric, last question, and then we got to get out of here. Mitch, what was your favorite city to play in as a visitor?
Chicago. But if I'd have played in Chicago, I'd have broke even with the league salary-wise, because Rush Street would have probably broke me. But it was definitely the best restaurants, great place to play in Wrigley. It was just a fun time. And then I ended up getting traded there. So it was even better. I got to play there every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Mitch, I love doing this show with you every week. It's a ton of fun.
Me too, buddy.
Ton of fun. for another great episode. And hopefully, as this season goes and the Phillies start playing more baseball, you're starting to see the influx of people coming out of the woodwork. I don't want to call you guys roaches like Cowboys fans, but you guys are starting to come out of the woodwork a little bit. I appreciate
you. Watch this show if you want to be lied to, because we ain't gonna lie to you. We're gonna tell you the truth every time we can. So if you want to hear the truth, that's what you'll get here.
I said from the day A2D started, no agenda radio, and here we are. No agendas. We are brought to you by Phillies Sports Trips. Go book your getaway today, either for a great Phillies game on the road or a great Eagles game on the road. PhilliesSportsTrips.com is where you can book it. That's Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. This was Here's the Thing on A2D Radio. We appreciate all of you. Everybody have a great week and talk to you soon.
Go Phils.
Go Phils.